More money, you got less problems. At least minor ones, all your basics accounted for. Team elite I run with, I'm guaranteed to be Final Four. Less money, you got more problems. More money, you got less problems. At least.
All right, we're back. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to Bringing Albany Communities Knowledge. Tonight, we have the person who is responsible for real talk. I mean, the real talk. So this brother gets everybody engaged, whether it is the first thing in the morning, the middle of the afternoon, or late at night. You know what I mean? He somehow has his ears tuned into the concrete. This man needs no introduction, but I'm giving him the biggest introduction anywho, because he got his VUU joint going on over there. So, this is Councilman Derek Johnson, the Honorable Derek Johnson. So thank you for stepping in and having an interview with Back tonight. And I really look forward to diving into our conversation the way that we normally have it. And I think that it's going to be an interesting story at a time where Albany needs to hear from its fellow Albanians in regards to a lot of the things that's coming on. So I think I got the best person that I could actually have on right now to give that real talk. So thank you, and welcome Derek Johnson for tonight's interview.
So first of all, I want to say, thank you for all those kind words. And, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure on many different levels to be a part of this conversation tonight. So, as I said to you earlier, I was excited.
Mm-hmm. Hey, don't you keep all that? You keep all those juices coming, because I got enough questions coming for you that should run the full gamut of everything. So stay just as excited as you are right now. The very first thing I always do, D, before we get into the thick of the questions, is I always ask, during this quarantine, we've been quarantined for the last 5 months, man. How have you been surviving? What kind of creative things have you been doing to stay motivated through the quarantine, or how has the quarantine affected you and your family?
Wow. So the quarantine has been bittersweet for me. In January, we found out that my mother had cancer. And, as cancer played out in her life, the quarantine became important to us because it provided me the opportunity to care for her and to spend, her last moments, in her presence. So the quarantine has many different meanings to me, but, on a personal level, it has a special meaning to me because it afforded me the opportunity to take advantage of, my mother's, most of the time that my mother was alive during that quarantine. So, in other parts, it's almost like you feel like you have handcuffs on, handcuffs on top of handcuffs, because you can't do things. You're limited, as a elected official. I'm used to being in front of the people and, being able to ride off of the people's energy. And when you're on Zoom, it's not the same. So,
okay. Well, listen, man, first things first, brother. I know you and I done had these conversations already, losing, because we both lost our mother. So, losing your mom is, as Nas will say, it's one of those essential pieces to our being, So, I know you've been a trooper through that process and being able to be there for your mom at that time, and just also realizing how you evolve through the caring of other people. You find out things about yourself that, you never even thought that you had the gumption to be able to do. So, sorry that you had to experience that, but I'm sure that your mom prepared you to be the best representation of her and carry out her legacy through you. So, but sorry you had to experience that, D.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. She is well missed, man. You know,
Hmm.
I just want to keep, you know, I want to just keep smiling. And, you know, it's hard when you think about the total loss because you don't really even understand the total loss because it's still so new.
Hmm.
But you know, my fire has gotten stronger in her
Okay.
absence because you know you know I have a job. I still have a job to
Mm.
do, and
Mm.
you know the mission isn't finished yet though.
Okay. Okay. And that's part of it, man. You know, as somber as it can be, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Death is a part of the circle of life. And it's just like, you know, like you said, it didn't die there because it lives on through you and your siblings. You know what I mean? So it's just
Hmm.
like, yo, or everybody else that she touched. You know what I mean? I think about my mother every day. You know, I got her picture on my laptop. So whenever I log in, it's just like, you know, I can see her right now, like, hey, asshole. You know what I mean? So you know,
Yeah.
and I purposely do that to myself to keep myself connected in that way. So it's just like, and it's like you said, that fire is like,
Hmm.
I'm not just living for myself. You know what I mean? I got a purpose. I got things to go ahead and do. And you know what I mean? And Albany is one of those purposes, which is what led us here tonight, talking about bringing Albany communities knowledge. And you know what I mean? That's what I'm going to tap into tonight. And we're going to use the power and the presence of our angels that we got around us to go ahead and guide us tonight. How about that?
That sounds like a plan. That's an easy lead to follow.
Okay, okay. Well, listen, man, I'm gonna hit you with the first one. Then the first one's gonna be because myself included. So I'm not gonna say a lot of people because a lot of times people say a lot of people don't know this, but myself included. Can you please give us a breakdown of I know you're a councilman. Can you please give us a breakdown of how that works? What area of Albany that you're responsible for? How is the council made up? I would really like to know that. But as you give that introduction about yourself, because I really want to know about Derek Johnson, please tell the Albany community about Derek Johnson, what kind of passion projects you're working on, what kind of things that you're involved in. And in that definition, break down to us your role as a councilman there in Albany.
All right, so I'm Derek Johnson. I'm Henry and Pat's oldest son. Anime McNeil or Mother Williamson's oldest grandchild. Um, I love Albany. I am, you know, I bleed Albany. Everywhere I go, I bring Albany with me because it has touched me in a manner that I will always want to see it improve. And so, with that said, I am the second ward councilman, which really I'm responsible for South Pearl Street down. It starts at Ezra Prentice and it goes
Mm.
as far up as the South Mall Towers. And I have some parts of Second Ave and the top of Morton Ave. And you know, one of my roles of as a councilman is, you know, obviously to be the voice of the community and make sure that we have a voice at the table and people understand the needs of and the concerns of the community. But I think just as important part is to, you know, to connect the youth with local government. You know,
Okay.
when I was younger, in elementary, I really didn't know who, you know, what the mayor was or, you know, council people. And I think that the early that we get this stuff introduced to the kids, the better off they have of having an understanding of it. Because I can remember I won an election one time for the neighborhood based alliance and I didn't know what a quorum was. I didn't know what a lot of things that, you know, as you walk in to that type of meeting, you'll learn about. So
Mm.
one of the things that I wanted to do is just be an example that you can be from the neighborhood and you know what's going on and still have these abilities to, you know, have a conversation with the mayor. You know, I wanted to be that person that can have a conversation with the mayor, have a
Mm.
conversation with the DA, have a conversation with
Mm.
who I needed to, but also still be able to go back to the neighborhood and have the conversations with the people that, you know, I you know, grew up with. So, you know, it's been important to just come home and just get involved. You know, when I came home and I just looked at what was going on in our community, I was not happy. And you know, and I just saw that for my group, it was just a lack of somebody willing to step up and just, you know, try to do the right thing. Because, you know, sometimes trying to do the right thing is a good lesson as well, because you're at least, you know, going in the right direction. So, you know, once we got things going in the right direction, you know, some of us were able to ride off each other. You know, the energy and the momentum. You know, they say for people who work out, a lot of people were complaining about the gyms being closed because their energy was, you know, connected to others. And so, like,
you left to be by yourself.
Yes, and so progress, a lot of times when we all starting out together, progress is connected to each other, because a lot of times we don't really know what we're doing. You know, we trying something new. So, you know, just to be out in front and to try to do things that I saw, you know, when I was coming up in Albany. I saw people, you know, creating opportunities for people to come together. And, you know, bringing people together, but bringing people together with purpose, to understand that, you know, whatever we're going to do, we're going to do it with class. And we're going to do it in a manner that we're not going to leave, we're not going to leave issues, so that if we want to do it again, we can do it again. And so, like, that's the type of mentality that I was trying to bring back to Albany, because in the places that I went, you know, it was heavy community involvement. They had activities going on. And you come back to Albany and that's not happening. And so, you know, that's the flavor that I wanted to bring back to the community, that we can do whatever it is that we want to do, we can do. And, you know, we got to figure out, you know, my job was like trying to figure out how to make, you know, some of this stuff happen for the first time.
Listen, so, man, I think that you accomplished it, you know, and I'm not fast forwarding you in any way, but I think that you accomplished it. And I'm thinking about it as you speak in my head. I'm just like, I think maybe out of 3 of maybe the 5 or 6 people I've interviewed already, you know, they've all mentioned you. So, you know what I mean, as being the person that was the plug, as being the person that was the difference maker. So if that was what you set out to do when you came back from Virginia University, I think that you accomplished that, young man.
Well, I'll just say this, you know, like when I watched the Jason, when Jason was talking, and as I'm saying this right now, I'm getting goosebumps, because I can remember the OGs telling me, they was like, yo, man, it's this dude, man, he remind me of you. He could play, blah, 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 blah. And I look at him, you know, a handsome young man, you know, well-spoken. And, yo, it was just so easy to take a liking to him. And, you know, and it's just crazy, because years later, you know, we don't spend a lot of time around each other, but, you know, the love, like, soon as we see each other, it's automatic. So then you had Aaron on there, you know, and I'm looking at Aaron, and you had Scooby on there, and then you had my man, the ghost, Charles too. You know, and then you had D on there, you know. So like, I when you called me and said, yo, D, it's your time, it's funny. Once I saw D, I knew it was coming. So like stuff like this is supposed to happen.
Correct.
That's why when you sent the questions, I said, yo, we're gonna do mine's a little bit different. You could pick the questions, because at the end of the day, we talking about something that I know very well. I know me, and I know Albany.
Correct.
So, you know, what do we need to you know,
I
don't need to have nothing to do with this. I just want to respond to you.
There you go. That's what makes it authentic. Leads me to question number 2 for you. This one here is what I'm learning, that this is my power question. I learn a lot about people from this question right here. What's your favorite place to visit in Albany, and why?
You know, like, favorite place to visit. Like, so, like, I had favorite places, you know, and it wasn't Ted's, you know, like, so for me, most of the time, if I'm driving back from college, right, I want to get off at exit 22.
Mm.
And I want to come up South Pearl Street because I always wanted to see South Pearl. That's where I became a man at. You know, I always wanted to look at 632A.
Mm.
Most importantly, I wanted to see my basketball court. You know, and so like I would drive up South Pearl. So, you know, one of my, I guess my favorite place when I was coming back to Albany would be Stencil's Barbershop.
Okay. Okay.
Man, you know, like I can remember going to Stencil's Barbershop with my father, right? And couldn't be a part of the conversations, but I was listening. And, you know, they were always talking about stuff that, you know, that was interesting to me. And, you know, anything is interesting to you that you can't participate in.
Oh, definitely.
So, you know, time went on and, you know, like we started going in there without my father. And we started having our own identity in there. And, you know, like this barbershop was bricks before bricks, you know, this was like, yo, you can go in there and the conversations be so heavy. And, you know, like I grew up to the point where I was leading the conversations or they were calling me saying, hey, yo, D, what's up with this? So, you know, just to come in and see Butch, to see Stents, to see Cool Cow, to see my man Barry, you know, like, and you know, those were the main ingredients of Stencils, but each time it was a different brew because you didn't know who was going to walk through there. So Stencils Barbershop was a place that I always cherished visiting.
Okay. Yeah, man. It was where you had Stencils around the corner. You had Herman. What was the one on
Wolf's?
On Clinton, on the bottom of Clinton, right across the street from Holloway's.
Oh, Modern
Barber. There you go. Yeah, because it was a penny candy store, and then you had Holloway's, and you had Modern Barbershop. There you go. Yeah, man.
So listen, I got to bring this story up. So I'm in Richmond one time getting a haircut at my barbershop because when I go to Richmond, one of the first places that I want to see is my barbershop, right? So I'm in my barbershop in college, and I hear some talking in the back, and I looked up. I said, "Hold up!" I said, "Uncle Herm." Yeah, Herm turned around and saw it was me. He said, "Man, y'all done messed up. Y'all done let." Now I called him Uncle Herm. He turned around. As soon as he looked at me, he said, "Grandson." He said, "Man, y'all done messed up." So Herm had been, you know, Herm would go down to Virginia and he would talk junk about his barbershop to these guys, right? And yo, you know, this is my second barbershop. This is my barbershop. This is my home shop on the road. So when Herm leaves, they like, D, yo, do he got a barbershop? I said, yeah, he got a barbershop. I said, I used to get my hair cut there. 3-star barbershop. You know, he said, tell him, grandson, don't I got it going on? I said, he got it going on. Because, you know, like at the end of the day, those experiences are priceless. And you know what? You can't duplicate that. I love what's going on in Bricks. I love the energy at TNT. I love celebrities. You know, I love Will's Barbershop. But it'll never be like Stence's. And, you know, and that's no disrespect to anybody. But
no, it's just the time period. It's the time period in which you needed it. At the time when you were coming up and you were developing yourself, like you said, it was like double dutch. I'm trying to get in on these conversations. So it's just the time period. The time period of that era is just gonna mean something different to you because you needed it for a different reason than what you may need the current barbershop now as an adult. You know what I mean? I get it. It was too funny. Herman gave me my first baldy, right? And I remember my cousin Nick laughing at me for days because Herman refused to like shave me bald. And so I had like little patches of hair on my head still, right? And yo, I remember coming out and all I remember, this dude had a joke for everything. And he was just like, yo, he clowned me for days. And I was like, yo, Herman, yo, you got to cut this off, man. And he's like, yo, they out here clowning me. He's like, he said, young blood, you too young for this or whatever. You too young to get this raised. I'm like, you need to get this hair off my baldy, make it bald.
Yo, bro, you know what they used to call that? You got a perm from Herm.
Yeah, man, he definitely got me. Let me see. Question for you here. Thinking about your younger self, D, what would you have wanted someone to tell the younger Derek, the young man who was striving to figure out himself in the world at any particular point that you can identify with this question? What would you have wanted someone to tell the younger Derek, knowing what you know now?
I have to be honest, man. My mother and my father told me everything that I needed to know. That, so like I would really say, just listen. Like I would really want to hone in on the jewel that you have two ears for a reason and one mouth. Just to be a better listener. Would listen. I would listen to the information that was given to me because I was given good information, and I would focus better.
Okay. It's interesting what you just said. It was like I tell my 4-year-old, I tell Dom that all the time. It was like, listen, I said you got two ears and one mouth for a reason. Do more listening and less talking. And and it's too funny because he always regurgitates it and spits it back at me. He's like, I know, Daddy. I got two ears and one mouth. I know.
But you planting a seed right now, and and as it goes on, it's going to get watered, and before you know it, he's not going to have to be reminded about that. It's going to be, and then plus he sees you modeling it, Mr. Model.
Yeah. Said no pun intended.
Hey, listen, it's just funny, man. Thinking about, I was golfing with Jakeem, and Jakeem is in his 9th or 10th year doing his program. And it's like, wow, like we have been blessed, although they have taken some things from us. I just think about how worse would it have been without Model and without For Family. So, like
I appreciate that.
And tough times, man, it's real easy to shut down and to focus on the negative. But what I have been trying to do is find the positive and get it out there. So the motto is, and it's funny because I'm trying to help someone else out, and the thing that he said is he wants to do what the work that the model was doing and the work that you and Brother Youssef were doing. So I said, listen, we can't get to Brother Youssef, but I can get to the next best thing. So the blueprint, man, is there for everybody. Once you do something, it's a recipe to show each and everyone else what can be accomplished. And right now we just need more authentic and people minded efforts right now.
Okay.
I think that that's what it's calling for. The time is calling for us to put our arms around each other. And
it's the best time too. It's the best time because never in my in my tender age, I have never seen a time period where the conversation, the dialogue was a welcomed conversation and dialogue. You have pockets, you have opportunities to have the dialogue right now, to talk about change and to not ostracize yourself or feel like, I'm the only person that feels this way. I'm the only person that's experiencing this racism. I'm the only person that's experiencing police brutality. It's on a world scale right now. You know what I mean? So it's just like, hey, right now is the time to, hone in or tap into, those feelings, those emotions, and make something out of it. I've learned over the years, not to stay in a rut. That was something I was really good at before. When you talk about model, it's just like I run a model for 9 years. I realize now that, we would have been as successful as we were, but we would have been 10 times more successful had I had, and my partners had, a little bit more years underneath us and maturity to realize, you know, it's not about ego. It's not about who's got titles. It's not about money. It's really about just focusing in on this platform that God has given to us, because that's where it came from, period. You know what I mean? I may be able to talk great, but guess what? That's not it. What is it? The message that God's trying to use me to be able to bring to fruition for His kingdom. And that's the thing, man. So sometimes you need to go through those experiences. You need those bumps in the life to help you to realign and readjust.
So, you know, it's interesting. I brought up Jakeem's name because I look at both of y'all. One of the things that I admire to y'all is that y'all came in and you jumped right in. Like when y'all came back from school, you didn't wait and say, hey, let me go do this, let me go do that. You came home and you was talking about it, and the next thing you know, you was about it. And you know, the same I could say with Jakeem, how he came home and him and John Scott, they jumped right in it. And so like when you look at stuff like, you know, like your story is saying, yo, some people did some good things. Some people did some things right, you know, and you know that we both know that, you know, you went in search of finding what's right. You know, you know, you was on a mission. And so that makes it even more impressionable to me, because I know your journey personally up close. And so, you know, I want to, you know, make sure that people hear and know, you know, that you still are connected in Albany. And, you know, I thought it was so thoughtful of you to, you know, work hard to get yourself in the position that you're in, but also stay connected with that passion that you have for Albany. And, you know, I said it to you the last time that we talked about back, but I thank you for being patient with me as I was trying to figure out how to, you know, make the connection. And, you know, going back to your original question about COVID, and, you know, the blessing was this right here. You know, this is a direct blessing of us being stuck in the house, because it gave us the answer, the vehicle. It became the vehicle that we needed, which was Zoom. You know, just getting in touch and understanding how things work. You know, and so, bro, man, a lot of energy tonight, man. A lot of energy.
Okay, all right, keep it there, keep it there. Actually, I'm coming for your sweater, and I'm coming for your hat right now. Do you think education saved you and opened up doors for you?
Definitely. Education is so powerful because it's different for each person. You know, it's a lot of people that get the paper. It's a lot of people that, but you know, the experiences, like, you know, college is about a whole bunch of things at once. And so, you know, and then the Black college experience is just
different.
It's dope, but you know, once again, everybody's experience is different.
Correct.
And so, you know, like if they do a story about Johnson C. Smith, you know, all of y'all will understand, right? And then if they do a story about us, all of us will understand. But if they share the stories, there's a lot of similarities in there. You know, you know, the historically Black campus life is, you know, you have to experience that. And you know, I'm feeling real strong about our situation now that you see the athletes starting to think about and consider staying home and playing. You know, a top 50 basketball player just signed with Howard. And so like it'll make people look at Black universities in a different manner and really catch up to really what's going on, because some very important people in our history have come from Black colleges. So, you know, Virginia Union.
Speaking of yours, you got a few. I'm thinking
Yes.
of what's my man Ben Wallace. Ben
Oakley,
Wallace came from Virginia Union, right?
Ben Wallace, Charles Oakley, Terry
Mm,
Davis, AJ
mm,
English, Jamie Waller.
mm,
You know, good guys, good basketball players. But we had some other people. You know, Doug Wilder, the first elected governor of the United States, is
mm,
a union. An interesting one was Kanye's mother went to Virginia Union,
mm. Okay.
and a couple of actors. But you know, like those big names are great, man. But I'm gonna tell you, I met a brother named Drake Simpson, uh, Junie Washington,
Mm,
um, AJ. Well, you know, I played ball with AJ. You know, I met some lifelong friends, some brothers. You know, when we buried my mom's, my boys was right there with me.
mm,
And you know, unfortunately, it was some people from Albany that wasn't there, and
mm-hmm.
we not holding anything against them. But you know, when you drive 8 hours to go support your people, that's you know, and actually that's 16 hours because you
Mm-hmm.
got to go back. So you know, things like that, man, says a lot about that experience because
It says everything,
yes,
everything, and what you need to know. You know, because like you said earlier, it's not just about the education; it's about the experience. Some of my closest friends in life I met through going to undergrad, and you know, like I said, people will put their time, their energy on the line for you in that regard. You know, I got a friend actually; he wasn't even from undergrad, but you know, I did work with him through Motto, and he
hmm
lives down here with me. And
hmm
he shocked me when I seen him pop up at my mom's funeral. It was like, cause I didn't even expect that. And it was like, you know, it's those types of things that make people stand out. You know what I mean? It's those types of things that, you know, it sets you apart. And a lot of those relationships we get, you know what I mean, through undergrad, you know what I mean, or being able to travel and meet different people and have those same similarities. So it's, you know, education is dope, and is the path is different for everybody. So I don't always say that it has to be the same for everybody, but your journey to exploration has to be there. It's like my former sponsors from North Face would say, you know what I mean, never stop exploring. You know what I mean? You have your exploration has to be there. You know what I mean? So
like my college roommate was from Albany also. And
mm,
we talked. He said, "Yo, man, if he had it to do all over, he may want to go to a different school for facilities and all of that." And I looked at him. I said, "I would have no such thing. If the only
mm,
thing that I would like to do over, I would like, you know, for you know, and my mom's is not here, so you know, I could say this without making her feel. But I would just wish I had more financial support, you
mm-hmm,
know, so that it would be easy to focus on the things." That we there for, you know,
mm-hmm,
and not have to worry about how you're gonna get something to eat because that calf closed at
mm-hmm,
5 o'clock, and 11 o'clock come, your stomach is touching your back. So,
mm-hmm.
you know, if I could change, I would change that part of it. But I would, you know, I'm a union man. Like I used to, as I was putting this on today, and I was like, no, I'm gonna say this. You know, I remember watching Bill Cosby talk about Hillman, or you know,
Mm-hmm.
on his show, and you know, they were so um, patriotic to their universities, and now here I am, 50
Mm-hmm.
50 years old, and I'm gonna turn the AC up tonight just so it's okay for me, just so it's okay, and so I could rep Union because you
Mm,
know that's a part of me. Just like Albany High
good.
is a part of me, Virginia Union is a big part of my life, and you know, I wear that everywhere I go as well.
Okay, good, good. Speaking of Albany High, going right there for you too. In what ways were you during your schooling through the Albany City School District, whether it was public or private? Do you ever feel like you were miseducated in the things that were that you learned through the education system? If
So
so, yes or no?
I say yes.
Okay,
Hell yes. Hell yeah.
okay.
I'm gonna say this, right? You know, because I heard Aaron talking about AT.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to school 19, right? And school 19 was the school of the schools. You know, in fact, they had a
Mm-hmm.
school within the school because they had a section that the AT kids were at, and so we couldn't go over there. And you know, like you didn't, you know, if you wanted to see AT at its finest, go to school 19 in the late 70s, the early 80s. They'll let you know, you don't belong here. And so like we had to deal with that. And, so from that standpoint, I felt some type of way, but it was wild because when they didn't let us in, it was because there was only a few black students at school 19 at that time, but they treated the other white kids the same way. So, like we all bonded. Yeah, that if you didn't meet, the excellence, you got thrown over there, and they treated them like they were from downtown. So, but those guys, it's funny because all of us bonded, like if and some of those guys, they my brothers to this day. When we see each other, it's like, and it's wild because most of those guys didn't go to college. So like it was like our paths changed. Like by the time I was in 4th grade with them, by the time I caught back up with them in high school, our lives were totally different. So, I feel like on some parts the school district let me down, and then on other parts it didn't, because I had a bunch of people that cared about me in that school, in those schools. I had people that put their hands on me, man, and told me, that they care. One of them I think about is Coach Pierce, and when I was in 10th grade, he told me, I'm gonna make you a good basketball player, but more importantly, I'm gonna make you a better community member. And it's funny because I ended up working with his wife years later in the school district. And one day me and Hines was working, and he said, yo, you know who this is? And I looked at her, I was like, nah. He said, that's Coach Pierce's wife. I said, Eddie Lance Pierce's wife? And she was like, you know his middle name? And I said, yeah. I said, that's my coach. But I said, he started out my coach, but he's my brother now. And I said the same thing to her, that he told me he was going to make me a better person. He was going to make me a better basketball player, but he was going to make me a better community member. She said, you mean you actually listened to him? I said, yes. And so, like I would be, and Mr. Pierce is just one of them, I had a whole bunch of them. In fact, my math teacher, I just saw him the other day. And I called him, about 6 months ago. I said, hey, I need a favor. He said, what's up? I said, I need some uniforms for my team. He said, hey, well, get them shorts and shirts and get them some shooting shirts and get their names on them so they can keep them, so he he's still in my life, 35 years later, or actually it's almost about 40 now.
There you go.
Because he was my teacher as a freshman. So, just to have those relationships then, and that they're still healthy now, it just it paints a picture of what my life could be moving forward with some of these kids that I'm working with. And look at us. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like never overlooking the importance of a relationship. And I think that I'm thankful that was one of the things that I decided to catch on to early on, because I think initially I didn't understand the importance of every relationship. You just be like, oh, I'm never going to cross paths with that person again. I can treat this person like doodle, And it's just like that you can't have that approach, period. And it's like, because you never really know who's going to end up where, and what relationships might mean more to you later than what they are right now. My teachers were instrumental in my development because they pushed me. And I remember when I first got to Albany High, it was like I was a part of a Central Schools program. So it was a school within a school, that whole regions-based prep course or whatever. And, I used to give my teachers hell. And I used to be like, oh, okay, well, you know what? That's what I'm going to do or whatever. But, once I started to see them stick their neck out for me, once I started to see that it wasn't just about me being in their classroom, it was about me, like, as you said, your teacher told you, it was like becoming a better person. When I realized that they were invested in Tyrell as the person, it helped me to get past some of my immaturities. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Other ways I still had to mature, but it helped me to realize that they cared more for me, and that carried over into my relationship with them that I still have to this day. I mean, I got some of the dopest teachers, you know what I mean, from Dan Liebert to George Benson to Susan Muljohn, you name it, to Miss Cole Perkins,
Mm-hmm.
whoever you wanna name. So it's like I'm glad that you brought that up, because you know what I mean, not only do we have some negative experiences, I could bring up some of those names too, but it's just like you have some really dope people that will invest in you, but you got to be positioned enough to understand the importance of relationship.
Well, you know, I don't want to leave this one because, like, I have to say, you know, Jerry Jennings, like, you know, Mr. Jennings, like Mr. Jennings, the administrator, you know, was my guy. You know, like, you know, like Mr. Jennings, the administrator, in my eyes, was like he was the dude that could talk to everybody. You know, like he was like Mr. Bach was real standoffish, but Jennings was approachable. Jennings was also, you know, like I learned what a maverick was when it came to politics, because that's what they called him. I went and looked up that word, like, why do they call him a maverick? You know, and I was like, shoot, that sounds like me, you know, to speak their mind, you know. So like, you know, like not, I can't say politically, you know, like we had that connection, because like I didn't feel like we got our just due with him. You know, I didn't feel like he took care, you know, I didn't feel like it went the way it was supposed to. We have a healthy relationship, but he also know that I felt like that because I made sure he did. So, but I have to bring up his name, you know, because he played a part. You know, I had a guy, Mr. White. Mr. White wasn't my teacher, but you know, I used to have a girlfriend in the South House and I was in the North House. And we used to, you know how, yeah, I used to run through that high school, but when I came around the corner by Mr. White, you know, he never knew I was running. And so we had this conversation as an adult, or I was a younger adult. And I was telling him, and he was like, well, why did you stop running? I said, because I knew you was going to be outside the, and I knew that the expectation was every teacher was supposed to be at their doorway during a change of class. And so he was taken back that I knew that and I understood that. And what I'm telling him is, you know, I'm a student. My job is to understand who's going to hold me accountable for doing what I'm not supposed to do, especially when I'm doing it. And so you got to learn how to move. And so, you know, he was messed up by that. Now, check this out. Albany High, Virginia Union. I'm in that same barbershop I saw Herman. One day the dude spin me around. I look. I said, yo, hold up. I go out the shop. I said, hey, Mr. White. Mr. White turn around and, yo, Mr. White run over me. Yo, Mr. White is my guy, you know, because nobody.
Everybody's in Richmond. How's everybody ending up in Richmond?
He's from Richmond.
Ah, okay.
And I think Herm is originally from Richmond.
Okay.
So check it. So Mr. White, Derek, what you doing? And he just looked at me. You know, and I ain't even gonna say what he said because we on live. But when we go off, I'll tell you what he said to me. But the next thing I know, one of the problems for me in college was playing basketball in front of people that I didn't know. You know, at Albany High, you always know everybody. So, you know, like KG was in the stands and there was a girl or two from Albany there. But, yo, when Mr. White, all of a sudden he started popping up at my games, it gave me inspiration, you know, so. Nice. And then when I came back to Albany, we ended up working together. So, you know, like he's my mentor. And then he, you know, we started working together. And then he, you know, became this career administrator. So he's all up in there. And like I said, my experience in high school, I think academically wasn't as positive and strong as it should have been. But I also have to take the onus on that. You know, because as I said earlier, I had a mother and father that told me and showed me what I needed to do. So, you know, when you've been given the ingredients and you mess it up, you're not following directions. If your mother put all the ingredients there and she leave you the instructions and it don't come out right, you did something wrong. So, you know, it's not like you didn't have the opportunity to do it. So,
And like, don't be
I'm
blaming nobody else. So they'd be like, don't blame nobody else, because like you said, you had the instructions. It was laid out right here. So
yes. So I played a part. I have to take ownership in my story.
mhm. And it's the best thing though. It's the best thing. It's like, yo, man, I tell people all the time, it's like my experiences, man, even being kicked out of Albany High was one of the best things that ever happened to me. You know what I mean? I can say that hindsight now wasn't the best thing at the time,
Hmm.
but it taught me a certain level of being accountable for myself. You know what I mean? It was just like, yeah, I know the circumstances outside. Yeah, I know who I'm running with. Yeah, I know what's going on. But it's also just like when something hits the fan, you realize that everybody else that I'm doing this for ain't there and they don't matter. And this is my life and this is my success or
Hmm.
failure. And
Hmm.
it that level of accountability could not have been taught to me in any other way other than going through that type of scenario. And it's just like, you know what? I get it. You know what I mean? It's not about being able to blame my environment. It's not about being able to blame what I know I'm about to go through. It's about, well, you know what? I gotta see what it is, and I gotta learn how to maneuver
Hmm.
around it, within it, and you know what I mean, I gotta take some ownership over it too. But like I said, it was one of the best things that ever happened to me because it taught me to be accountable for myself. And I was in what I was a senior in high school. So you know what? Don't be making excuses. Don't put it on anybody else. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean, that helped drive me, and it helped me to realize that where we're always looking to point the finger at somebody else, that I gotta be able to say that I don't need to point the finger at anybody else because my success or failure begins with me, regardless of what the circumstance is. Yeah.
That's not,
Let me see.
that's the dopeness. That's the dopeness of rap.
Hmm. Let me see. Let me see. Can you think of any attitudes or behaviors that were normalized in Albany, um, that you realize now that were just limited to Albany as a result of you getting out and traveling?
Yeah, I'm gonna say the authenticity. I'm struggling with that word, but the realness of the
Mm,
Nation of Islam in
mm,
Albany. Um, I think that growing up, the discipline that I saw brothers possess to memorize lessons and to be able to
mm,
pass on that knowledge. Like I never was righteous, but I could remember being in class in a Black Studies class with, and I hope he see this, Dr. Reverend Dr. Angelo Chapman, and he said, "What is knowledge?" And I was a part of there was about four basketball players in that class that we used to just sit there and we used to talk, but I was the dude that was 50-50. I was talking with them.
mm. I think you might have cut out.
And so he said, "I'm gonna get back to you." And after class, he walked up to me. He said, "Man, where did you get that answer at? I've been looking for that answer for." I said, "My brothers are 5%ers, and I read their." So I think that you know, me and Keith Mormon are known at Virginia Union as "Word is Bond," because
Okay.
when we used to say "Word Bond." So I just think that the nation, like I've said this to Equality and Reality, why aren't y'all putting those lessons back out? Because I think that
Mm,
that's something that could help right now in terms
mm,
of anytime you have knowledge of self.
mm,
Another Virginia Union story, A. Peter Belly, who was Malcolm X's right hand man,
mm,
was our sports information director.
mm.
So one day he just said something to me like, "Yo, what you know? You got knowledge of self?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I got knowledge of self." And once again, I'm talking about the Nation of Islam. I'm talking about
Mhm.
what I saw. We were introduced of the ideal that we are kings, And, you know, we had some brothers that walked it like they talked it, you know, and they was very knowledgeable. And, you know, like I like anybody that's sharp. You know, I got a chance to go see Dr. Khalid Muhammad speak in Albany at the Arbor Hill Community Center. And I don't know if I was ever in the presence of such an intelligent man before, because the brother answered questions in, I think, 8 different languages, and, you know, was fierce with what he knew. And, you know, he knew how to use it. And, you know, I've always been impressed by people that could speak well. Okay. And, you know, I liked his style of speaking because he made, you know, he made his point well known. So
it's interesting that you brought up the Nation of Islam, anywho, though, because like you said, their presence was very impactful, very meaningful to our community. And it was just like, you know, I would go on Friday nights. On Friday nights, they used to have this like little round table where at the spot right there where SEPQ is at now. SEPQ is there now, but it used to be one of the mosque spots there. And I would go there. We used to do these round tables on Friday, and we'd be talking about worldly discussions and stuff like that. And it was like, I love going to be a part of the conversation. I love going because, one, I've always respected Islam. And what was crazy was that coming from Albany, I thought the Nation of Islam was Islam itself, right? It wasn't until, you know, I went away, I went down to Charlotte, and then, you know, I went to Morocco. So you know, I went to Morocco after my freshman year, and was just like, then I realized that the Nation of Islam was, you know what I mean, one portion, one part.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I didn't know any of that.
Part.
Yeah, I didn't know any of that. So it was just like,
yeah.
Oh. But like I said, man, it was just dope, because the one thing I've always loved about Islam, and I still love about that to this day, is that the need to be disciplined. You know what I mean? And that's on you. That ain't on the world. That ain't on all the externals. The need for discipline and the importance of tolerance of others. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So I just thought that you know, a lot of brothers would have been a lot wilder without it. And so, you know, like then the transition to learn about Malcolm X. You know, and then to see like, oh, you know, like, so you and then to watch his pilgrimage and watch his experience with Islam. You know, I think I learned a lot about Islam from reading about Malcolm X. And the other thing that I used to always like about Islam is that, being that I was kind of like, I understood words, you know, I could break stuff down. So like, you know, they would use their words and they would lose people because people didn't know the meaning. So, you know, here I am. My mother and father played Scrabble so that I would hear them argue about words, you know. And so like, I'm like, yeah, I know what that word means. So, you know, I wasn't scared to ask a question. And then when you ask a question, they can see that you have some understanding. So, you know, I've always been, like I listen to Farrakhan. You know, I like to hear him speak because he's a heck of a speaker. And you know, one can't argue with his work. You know, he has led us, and he has been the voice and the example of how to stand up and be an individual. You know, I can't say
for years.
I can't say I've ever seen him playing team ball, you know, at our expense. And you know, so when I move through, you know, he's a person that I want, you know, that I always feel like he's judging me, you know, like I might have to get judged by him. So you want to be prepared, because he's going to ask you that question that you know, you may not be ready for it. So, you know, you play psychological games with yourself, you know, when I played basketball, you know, you just didn't go to the game and you just got pumped up because it was a game. You know, like you had to take yourself through stuff and make yourself understand that, you know, you don't know who's watching tonight. This is my time. This is, you know, I'm, you know, as I said, I bring Albany everywhere. You know, I'm representing Albany tonight, you know, and all the games that I played, you know, some of my best moments was when people said, hey man, yo, you from Albany? I said, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They said, yo, you know Milt Horn? You know Skeeter
Mm-hmm.
Horn? You know Herb
Mm-hmm.
Bowen? You know Tiki Burton? I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yes. You know, this is, you know. So I
Yeah.
felt like I was there, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
listen,
It's
man.
a it's a lot of long and rich history, man. That I mean, sometimes when you talk about bridging the gap, like you got to bridge the gap to hear those stories. You got to take the time out to see that wisdom. And I think a lot of times that's what we're missing right now. I mean, even like with the younger generation, what's going on right now is just like, I mean, they're leading themselves. It's like because we're missing that information from you just named um, a whole generation. What I mean that's connected to like the bigger power names will be Mike Tyson. What I mean it
Hmm.
was like, but a
Hmm.
lot of people are not gonna know those names. A lot of people are not gonna make those connections. A lot of people are not gonna know about Holloway and what I mean. But it's just like this younger generation needs that connection because it's like a lot of dopeness came from out of this area and still is in this area. I mean, in Albany, period. You know what I mean? But
Listen,
I ain't gonna hold you there because listen, we're gonna be on there for forever.
yeah, but
So
you said Mike, man. Like I get so, like, you know, my friends in college would mess with me, man. You don't know, and you know, like I guess for Mike, I gotta thank Hines. You know,
yeah.
he put me around him, and you know, he never forgot us. And you know, whenever we would see him, it would be on. And you know, he always made sure that we, you know, that we understood that we were his guys, you know, and so like that exposure, you know, growing up, seeing, you know, all the stuff that Rory and Mike and John exposed us to, you know, I'm talking about on the high end of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like so when I would go down to college and dudes would be, you know, pulling out their stuff, and I was just like, yeah, that's nice. I'm gonna give it up always, right? But if you trying to impress me, you got to
Mm-hmm.
go real hard because these guys set the bar up at the highest that like balling. I don't know if it's anybody that balled out like they did, and you know, so
Mm-hmm.
that was motivation. That turned into motivation because you could see, Mike went to the gym and made it happen, and then
Mm-hmm.
when I met Mike, he had just lost to Tillman, so it was actually on the decline. It was on his, in one of his downward spirals, and like I said, just to see sports be able to take a person at that level. I went to the Mike Tyson, Michael Spinks fight, and so I knew Mike Tyson from Albany, like the guy that we knew, but I didn't realize that I didn't realize that he was a national figure and
Yeah.
then a worldly figure. So athletics, it's a world of opportunity connected with the elite, the people that are able to make it professionally, and to be able to dominate the sport like he did.
Mm-hmm.
The first night he won his championship was the first college basketball game I have. So it was a lot of when we won the CIAA championship, he beat Frank Bruno. When I had the best dunk in my life against Norfolk State down the middle on three people, he lost to Buster Douglas. So like his career, like I can tie it to my career as well. So to see him where he's at today, because a part of me connects him to Albany, because we will see him every
You
day,
got
all
to.
day. And I mess with my college friends. I say, yo, y'all ready? They said, ready for what? To hear and new, because Rory was sitting in my house about a month ago, and Rope said, he said, yo, man, I'm gonna be honest. He said, Mike is a bad dude, so it depend on what Mike is in training camp. He said,
Correct.
because if he's dedicated to the sport, he said, yo, he still punch hard. So it's a chance. And then where it's at. But just hearing Mike, it always warmed my heart up. And now seeing him so happy and speaking and doing the things that he wants, because if any people that get a chance to know him up, he's a lovable, likable guy, and so I think that the annex of, of all that he was dealing with, really like clouded people's view of him. So it's
And
good to
that'll
see the
be,
brother on.
yeah, and you know what I mean. I think that, I mean, the way he did it, the level of his experience, like you said, he was global. You know what I mean? He was, you know what I mean? He was that big of a figure. But his story and the demons or the things that he had to battle to become the healthy Mike Tyson that he is right now. Like, I love hearing him speak. His show on Broadway was the bomb. It's like, yo, the dude is hilarious. You know what I mean? But it's just like, so sometimes you got to go through the transition to shed things and to shed people that
Yeah.
that we're carrying around with us. We're carrying experiences. We're sharing. Carrying people that will drain you. You know what I mean? So that was part of his experience, man. But
Yeah.
yeah. Well, let me see. I got one for you right now. That's gonna bring it. Actually, ties in closer to home right now in regards to what's going on too. But the Black Lives Matter movement. Shout out to my man Family Matters for the T-shirt tonight. But the Black Lives Matter movement isn't just about police brutality, but it's about dismantling systematic racism. If you could hone in on 2 to 3 points, D, what would you say we need to tackle as a people?
For like in the next couple of weeks, the immediate goal would be the census.
Okay.
I think that that's important because when you look at the census and you look at our group, we have a lack of representation. And so that's an immediate fast fix, because you only have a small window of opportunity with that. But, the regular, like, it's entry, basic level stuff. People want to talk about finances and all of that. Like, I'm talking about foundational stuff. We got to get people registered to vote. First we got to figure out how to get as many people registered. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is trying to, encourage them to vote in a block and, vote together. And so, understanding how things work, you have to do your part to be able to hold somebody else accountable.
Correct.
And so, like, when you look at our numbers, when it comes to voter turnout, you will understand why we don't get, it doesn't make it right. You will understand how year in and year out, people aren't participating. Should you be expecting someone to remember you? So, getting people to understand that it's not one person's job, like this is a partnership. When you elect somebody, you don't elect a person to go out there and they're going to figure everything out. You elect someone because they have the qualities that, are going to show leadership when leadership is needed. And so with that being said, that's when we need the masses behind us. Like at this time right now, like tomorrow, if we need to, we should be able to have 500 people standing down at City Hall saying enough is enough for this gun violence. We should right now, it should be a universal conversation coming from all of the stakeholders' mouth that we need community centers. We need proactive programming. We need spaces, like they're tearing all these buildings down and they're creating these, these gaps so that, the conversation is different. Instead of selling one lot, now they selling several lots. And now that looks different to a developer. And, it looks, it makes it more beneficial to talk to a developer. And now, so you taking the independent people, you're taking the locals out of the conversation about purchasing these lots. So now they're leaving the community. So it's a lot of things that factor in to why is why. How did we get here? And so like right now, for the second ward, we are focusing on the second ward committee. And, in the last couple of weeks, I've been getting some commitments from people that are doing the work. And that's the thing of really trying to build up the committee, because you want people that are active in the community, because those are the models, you get it, the role models for the residents to say, hey, if I need something, I know where to go. If I need a question answered, I know where to go. You know, now with Google, people feel like, you know, I don't have to go to a meeting. You know, I could watch the meeting on the, you know, I could watch, you know, and so like just building up trust and people to understand that if you do your part, it's going to be worth it. You know, we're not going to be led, you know, for so long, man, we always had these grand openings of all these things that are going to happen. And then, you know, we sit around and wait for them to happen, and they don't. And so like what I see is this, I listen to what people say, and then if they don't do it, I'm gonna just come in there and hold you accountable with your words. And that's what they don't like about me. And so what I try to show people, like, yo, when they tell us we can't do something, but you saw somebody else doing it, they owe us a explanation of why we can't do it. So, you know, they try to tell us it was JEK that was causing all the shooting and stuff. You know what I mean? JEK, you took JEK away, and look, it got worse. You know, if you remember years ago, teen night saved a lot of people in Albany too.
Real talk.
Yeah, but you know, you see what this administration did. They told Cook it wasn't no gang problem. They let Cook go to the county. So, you know, like I just, you know, like stuff is hurtful for me, because we've seen this coming. You know, like we didn't know it was going to go in this direction, but we knew it wasn't going in the right direction. And so
it's interesting. It's interesting when you bring up, like, a lot of people keep talking about how the centers are gone, and it's crazy. It's like, you know, I never really put it together like that. It was just like, you know, I could think of at least like 5 or 6 places that were available when I was a youngin', that it was just like, you know, if I'm in this part of town, I can go here. If I'm in this part of town, I can go here. You know what I mean? I had the rec down here on 3rd Ave. You know, I had the Boys and Girls Club on Delaware, which, you know what I mean, I came up under. That was when Brandon Graham was there. You know what I mean?
But
so
that was nothing. It was not like when Brandon had the club, it was nothing like when the club that we had, it was so, like, they had times for you to be there. You know, like in the early part was for the, and then, you know, this is the crazy part though, right? They always told us, yo, y'all could stay. Yo, we on, now this is a crazy story. We on the bus coming back from New York City. Me, the guy that would eventually be my college roommate, a brother that that was a councilman before me of the 2nd Ward, Lester Freeman, and Divine, Scott Randolph. All 4 of us went down. We caught the bus down, and we stayed and caught the last bus back. So, yo, when we caught the last bus back, now I'm gonna say some names that was on that bus: Dumar Hemingway, Rasan Hemingway, black men, all the boys from downtown, right? So yo, bro, this is crazy, right? I've never seen a bus where they had people standing up on a Greyhound. And it was crazy because it was all white people. And they were in the back by, you know, I mean, these guys was ruthless this night, right? And so when you come out of Lincoln Tunnel, if you knew Rasan Hemingway, he had a funny voice. He said, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the standing game." And yo, he just said some wild stuff. So listen, the ride from Lincoln Tunnel to New Paltz was so crazy that when we pulled into the New Paltz station, the state police was waiting there. Yo, bro, and still to this day, I do remember it, but I just know this. Yo, the bus driver, like when they pulled into the bus station, all the white people was clapping. Yo, the state police came up on the bus, and yo, and my roommate because I asked him many years later, I said, yo, why they didn't take us? He said, yo, D, because soon as you saw the police come up on the bus, yo, I said, yo, act like we sleep. So, yo, I promise you, it was me and Keith, and then Lester was sitting right there. That bus driver came and took a step. He looked at us and he took a step forward. He said, take everybody else.
Mm.
So they took about 18 people off that bus that day, right? But they didn't take 3 people. And that's where when you go through life, right? And you know, like we all the same, right? But we different too.
Correct.
Because some of us know when to shut up.